Welcome back to Last Breath Diaries. Tonight's story will make you question everything you thought you knew about life and death. Because sometimes the line between the two isn't as clear as we'd like to believe. Her name was Constance Glantz, 74 years old, a mother, a grandmother, a woman who had already lived through the storms of life and was now facing her final chapter in peace, or so everyone thought. Constance had been battling several chronic illnesses, the kind that slowly chip away at your strength until one day, you just don't have any left. Her family had made the hardest decision imaginable to place her in hospice care at the Mulberry Nursing Home in Waverly, Nebraska. There, she was supposed to be comfortable, surrounded by compassion, dignity, and the quiet promise that her passing would be peaceful. But what happened next was anything but peaceful. On the morning of June 3rd, 2024, just before 10 a.m., a nurse entered Constance's room. She looked still, too still, no movement, no breath, no pulse. The nurse did what protocol demanded, checked again, and finally declared her dead at 9:45 a.m. No doctor was immediately called to verify, no hospital monitors, no EKG, just silence and the assumption that death had arrived. The staff notified the family. The words were short, clinical, and final. She's gone. Constance's body was released to Butherus Mazer and Love Funeral Home in Lincoln. Her family wept. Some began making travel arrangements. Her daughter called the pastor. Her son-in-law started gathering photos for a memorial slideshow. Everything that happens after death began. At 11:43 a.m., less than 2 hours later, a funeral home employee began the standard intake process. She opened the body bag. The room was cool, quiet, sterile. She prepared to tag and transport the body for embalming. And then she saw movement. Subtle, almost invisible. Then another, a faint rise in the chest. The worker froze, unsure if it was a trick of the light, until she heard it. A gasp, a sound that didn't belong in that room. Constance was breathing. The employees screamed for help. Others rushed in. One placed a hand near her mouth. There it was, unmistakable, warm breath. 911 was called immediately. The dispatcher's notes would later record the words, "Possible live person found at funeral home, CPR in progress." For a few fragile minutes, hope returned. The paramedics arrived to find her faintly responsive, shallow pulse, irregular breathing, but alive. They rushed her to a Lincoln hospital. Word spread fast. Her family, who had just been told she was gone, got another call that left them stunned. "She's alive," the nurse said. "She's alive." Can you imagine that drive to the hospital? Your heart pounding so hard it hurts, your brain refusing to believe it, yet daring to hope. How do you prepare yourself to see someone you've already grieved breathing again? But fate has a cruel way of reminding us who's in control. Doctors did everything they could, but Constance's body had already endured too much. Her organs were failing, her blood pressure plummeted, the spark that had flickered back to life began to fade again. And just before 4 p.m., the monitors went flat. This time, it was final. Constance was gone. The same woman who had been pronounced dead twice in the same day, once in error and once for real. Sheriff Ben Houchin from Lancaster County later called it a rare and highly unusual event. He said in 3 decades of law enforcement, he had never seen anything like it. But what does that say about the systems we trust? Hospice staff followed what they thought were protocols. But no doctor confirmed the death. No coroner was called before she was bagged and transported. Somewhere between care and assumption, a woman who was still breathing was treated as a body. Her family didn't lash out in anger. They were too broken for that. They said they were just grateful someone at the funeral home noticed, because at least she didn't die alone in a cold room, zipped in plastic, forgotten. They said it gave them one more chance to say goodbye, to touch her hand while it was warm, to whisper "I love you," and have even the smallest chance that maybe somehow she heard it. In death, Constance gave the world one last lesson, that sometimes even when life appears to end, it hasn't. That sometimes what we mistake for finality is really just a fragile pause between two worlds. So tonight, I leave you with 3 questions. When life is mistaken for death, is it a failure of medicine or a reminder that death doesn't always announce itself? If your loved one took a breath after you thought they were gone, would that moment heal you or haunt you? And when it's finally our time, How certain do we ever want anyone to be before they say the words, time of death? And that concludes tonight's chapter of Last Breath Diaries. Thank you for stepping into the dark with me. If you felt that chill, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you'll know exactly when the next story takes its final breath.